Something that I have learned how to do is batching, and so it kind of ties into boundaries. Because I'm time blocking and I'm setting boundaries for myself. But when I batch my podcast, because I have it's called the Josh Parnell Leadership Podcast. So that's something that I'll do. I'll do long form content by filming and recording the audio and visual of the podcast, and then I can break that down, chop it up and put it on social media as well. But being able to establish boundaries, time block on my calendar, and batch podcast or content creation or posting or whatever it is, anything involving the social media stuff that I don't want to live on, but I need to be on.
Hey there, tech enthusiasts. Welcome to Tech Time with Sweet Tea, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of technology and how it can either serve you or, well, not serve you. Here is your host, Sweet Tea, and he's on a mission to help you harness the power of tech in your life. Join him as he chats with people about their tech journeys. From the latest gadgets to digital dilemmas, we'll explore it all. So grab your favorite device, hit that play button, and let's keep it real in the world of tech. Tech Time with Sweet Tea is here to help you stay plugged in and empowered. Let's get started.
All right, welcome back again to another episode with me. I'm Sweet Tea, keeping it real in the tech world. I like to talk with people all over the world, as much people as I can. Today I'm talking with a leadership coach and fellow Houstonian from Houston, Texas, as well. Just what's going on, Josh? What are you excited about today?
Well, Tommy, man, first, thanks for having me. I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm glad to be here. Today specifically, we got a big Texans game tonight that you and I are both pumped for. But in general, though, excited about what's happening with all things leadership. I mean, that's what I do. I'm a leadership coach, trainer, and speaker, and so the bulk of my business is working with clients on how to teach coaching, training, management, leadership, and really working on mindset as well. And so that's kind of what I do in a nutshell, but I'm just glad to be here. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking a little bit out of your time today. Busy Saturday, a lot going on, starting the year, a lot of, especially in the coaching world. With everyone making their goals, setting their intentions. We're to start there with intention first, because I like to start things easy like that. What is an intention word? Something that you're like going into the year with?
Yeah, great question. My word for the year is action. For a lot of us, we don't take action because of fear, because of time, because of what we perceive to be a lack of knowledge or expertise or a lack of confidence. And what I've learned over the years is that when we take action, motivation and confidence tends to follow. And so it's okay to do it scared. It's okay to operate in faith, but still do it scared and just take action. Because when we take action, motivation and confidence will follow. Regarding the beginning of the year, as you mentioned, a lot of people right now are setting goals, or they've set goals. And that's really the easy part, is to set the goal. I mean, we can set a lot of goals on this call, because I can just say, okay, this year I want to run 3 miles in 30 minutes. I just set a goal. That was the easy part. The more challenging part is the action, actually putting in the work, being intentional, like you referenced, and moving towards that goal that I literally just set 30 seconds ago. And so, right now it's early January, and a lot of people have recently set New Year's resolutions, and there's a lot of people who are already in the stage of, man, I don't know if this resolution is going to work out the way I thought it was, because I'm 6 days in now, 7 days in, 10 days in, and it's not as easy as I expected. The easy thing to do was what I just referenced, and that is to set the goal. We can say, this year I want to do this. And now we're, a week or two in, and we're already starting to have these doubts and we're already letting the fear start creeping in, and we're already starting to justify why we can't achieve those goals rather than why we can achieve those goals. And the irony in all of this is there is literally a day in the year called Quitter's Day, and Quitter's Day falls on the second Friday in January. So we're pretty close to Quitter's Day right now. And the reason it's called Quitter's Day is because statistically speaking, over half of the people who set New Year's resolutions will have already quit their New Year's resolutions. So in an effort to not fall into that day of Quitter's Day, we want to be a winner this year. And in order to be a winner, we've got to take action. And it's easier said than done. But if we're intentional, if we stay focused, if we're mindful of the steps that we need to take in order to achieve the goal that we set, we're going to win this year. And a lot of us struggle with, we set a goal and we think about the goal and we're always looking at the goal and we're thinking about the end in mind, which is great. We want to begin with the end in mind, which is one of the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, a book by Stephen Covey. But what we fail to do is let's start looking at the steps that we need to take in order to get here. And that's really the encouragement that I'm sharing with everyone is, hey, start taking those steps, start taking action, and motivation and confidence is going to follow.
Yeah, my big things to start this year, and I started like actually beyond before 2024 in 2023, and my big thing going into this new year, my word is consistency. I
Mm.
was looking at consistency in years past, and I I fell into that same trap myself. I stopped, did whatever happened. Consistency is so, and a large part today. This episode, you coming on today, is just a little supporting me a little bit and keeping that consistency so far as we come approach the midpoint of January. So, thank you. I acknowledge you for coming on today. You're supporting my consistent effort so far.
Love that. Well, glad to be a support system, and I'm glad to be here.
I want to talk on, and it could be like any kind of tool, like a technology, because I do like to talk technology and understand not that big on technology, but something I want to get into, like something that you use like daily, weekly, that really supports your how you mentality, physical, like something that could support you well, like in the digital world, technology, something.
Sure. Yeah. So the bulk of my business is coaching, and so I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. And what that means is I don't have to be physically in your presence, and vice versa, in order to connect with you. And so Zoom is easily the number one uh, piece of technology that greatly supports my business and the business model that I'm currently in. And so Zoom is one of those tools or resources that I use on a daily basis. Um, I'll tell you, Canva. Canva has been a great resource for me. As a leadership coach, trainer, and speaker, I'm trying to reach more people and build more leaders. That's my mission, is to reach people and build leaders. And in doing so, social media, as you know, Tommy, is very important. And because that's a social media, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, these are all great resources to and great platforms to reach more people. And so, in doing so, I'm regularly on those platforms on social media. And Canva has been a great tool for me to create posts, to create cover photos, to create documents. In fact, my training program that I do, this training book was created in Canva, and so this is something that I use in my live in person trainings, and it was all created on Canva. And so I'm not very tech savvy. I don't know a whole lot about technology, and so I'm always learning and growing in the process. But Canva was for me probably the best resource that I discovered about a year ago, and it's been phenomenal for my business.
Yeah, it's anything from going, like when you talk about calendar, I look at a calendar like I have on my wall, like it's behind the camera, but
Mhm.
use a calendar or a digital calendar, something like that, or where you can put in an address or you can put on the Zoom location. Zoom, like that, yeah, that's a great, like, even before like pandemic stuff, like corporate companies were doing the hybrid thing already, where people
Mhm.
were working remotely as it is, and that just took off 3 years ago. And Zoom has been just a great way. Like, we are way more connected than we ever were. Like, we just got coming back from the summit of greatness. I always like to like put in a little spin towards that too. We had a virtual setup. I don't know if you were attending that virtual thing before. Like, it was like a week before, but there was a virtual thing. It was like, all right, here's some grounding stuff. Here's what you good stuff to need to know, so you can get the most of your time when you're in Columbus at the Summit of Greatness. So we had you have a nice setup virtual call. So like the communication, the digital communication has just been spot on with helping us connect. Even in the world, I have some friends that I want to connect to and maybe help and visit one day, visit this year maybe, in Italy, India, so many places I talk to regularly because
Yeah.
of Zoom and all these communication apps.
Yeah, it's amazing how how the internet has changed everyone's life. As you're sharing that, Tommy, like you're talking about the opportunity to connect with people in not only different cities, not only different states, but different countries, like literally around the world. That's the beauty of apps and resources like Zoom. I met my wife on a dating app, and that like I couldn't have done that without obviously the use of technology. And now, going back to your question about calendar systems, I currently use Google Calendar, which I love because I'm able to time block accordingly, and I color code things. And for me, Google Calendar works. I also don't know what I don't know. I literally just discovered Trello, and I know that's for some listening. Trello has been around for a long time, and so people were probably like, "Hey, where have you been living under a rock?" But again, I'm not super tech savvy. I just discovered Trello. I'm starting to learn the ropes with Trello, and that might become a regular thing for me in my organization and time management. But regarding calendars, right now it's Google Calendar, um, Zoom. For social media things, I use CapCut, I use Captions. Um, Man, I know that there's so many other tools that I use that I'm not even thinking. Oh, I use Slack. Slack is something that I use quite a bit. But
Slack or Discord for those gamers. Kind of,
y-
I see Slack and Discord as like the same thing.
okay. See, I don't know. I've heard of Discord. I don't know enough about Discord, but Slack is something I use fairly regularly.
Slack is more business oriented, like corporate oriented. The Discord is the your gamers, your video gamers.
Got it. Okay.
Same, almost look the same. They do almost the same thing.
Okay. Cool.
And you mentioned you're on all these social medias. You're on there a lot, like, and what I started love like say that a lot is you gotta love your message. You gotta like repeat it. You gotta shout it out. You gotta get on the rooftop and shout your message out. How often are you getting onto these? Are, are you cutting, or do you have someone to like cut it, or do you do it all yourself?
Right
You
now,
cut clips.
yeah, right now I'm doing it all myself. I'm looking to maybe by the end of this year I may bring on a content creator to the team, but for now my bandwidth supports the ability for me to do it myself. My frequency, I'm posting about at least once a day. I'm trying to post once a day. I've learned, just to your point, Tommy. I love that you shared that, because um, what you shared is how, like, keep on saying the message, keep on sharing the message, and the message really doesn't change in terms of the the generalization of I want to reach people and build leaders. So my message is, you are a leader. regardless of your title, regardless of your role, regardless of your experience, your age, your race, like you are a leader, and there's nothing that can convince me otherwise. And the reason being is every single person in this world is one of one. So they are different from everyone in the 7 or 8 billion people in the world, which means they have their own perspective, and they have their own perspective because of their upbringing and their life experiences. And with their own perspective that no one else shares, they have the ability to be influential. And leadership is influence. So if you can influence those around you, you can affect change. And anyone who's a change agent is a leader. So the bulk of my posts and my messages revolve around that right there. So it's first and foremost acknowledging and sharing with someone, hey, you are a leader. This is what leadership is. Also, this is what leadership isn't. And I also like to share tips and tricks, things that I've learned and continue to learn on on how to grow as a leader. Because as I referenced earlier, leadership is not a title. Leadership is a skill, and it's a skill that needs to be practiced and honed and developed daily. And so I'm regularly trying to sharpen my axe and level up in different areas of my life, because I know that I want to be and need to be the best version of myself, because people around me who I am working with in leadership capacities, they deserve my best, and I want to give them my best. And so that's the bulk of my message. That's the frequency in which I post, is about once a day. I'm trying to get on social media as often as necessary, but not live there, because I also want to keep my boundaries and recognize, hey, I also have a family. I have a life outside of the digital world, and so I try to time block my posts. I try to not live on my phone, but that's it's easier said than done.
Yeah, totally. I want to get the touch on minute, and then I do definitely want to get to what you just said on the setting boundaries, especially with social media, because that's extremely important. If you don't like to find that balance, but go back to the creating part, like with the fun part, like leaning on the fun, right?
Yeah.
Creating and meeting people, that's where these days I'm sounding more like an extrovert, but creating and meeting people is where I get my energy when I'm creating anything, and it's not just video, or when creating and where was I want to go with this? Lost my train of thought.
That's okay, Tommy. I will say, man, if that's where you get your energy from, it sounds like you are an extrovert. Maybe you're converting into an extrovert, because if you're recharging with other people, that means you recognize, and the beauty in this is this too. I think that you recognize, like, this is where I make my impact. Like, this is how I make my impact. This is how I make a difference in people's life. And I know initially you were going back to just the creation of social media. And something that I have learned how to do is batching. And so, it kind of ties into boundaries, because I'm time blocking and I'm setting boundaries for myself. But when I batch my podcast, because I have it's called the Josh Parnell Leadership Podcast. So that's something that I'll do. I'll do long form content by filming and recording the audio and visual of the podcast, and then I can break that down, chop it up and put it on social media as well. But being able to establish boundaries, time block on my calendar, and batch podcast or content creation or posting or whatever it is, anything involving the social media stuff that I don't want to live on, but I need to be on. Batching has been a big thing for me. And so being able to kind of segue into batching and boundaries, I think maybe an opportunity that we can discuss, because I'm curious what your take is on boundaries, and how do you keep your boundaries to have a healthy work-life balance, if you will.
So, and I made a missed part, but just when you say batching with social media, tell me a little more on.
So I have a podcast that airs weekly, and it's the Josh Parnell Leadership Podcast. And with other things that I'm working on, I want to make sure that I can maintain a regular cadence with the podcast. So I will try, keyword being try, but I will try to keep my schedules to where I can batch things. So if I have a podcast airing every Wednesday and it always releases every Wednesday, then maybe I can spend a Saturday, the first 4 hours of my Saturday, and I can batch three podcasts. I can record three podcasts. And so I have three podcasts that are ready to go over the next 3 weeks because I batched them together. So what I'm not doing is I'm not recording one podcast a week and then releasing it and then recording the next one, because we know, life happens. We just came out of a holiday season, and there's, whether we're on vacation, I mean, sometimes maybe we get sick. There are things that are going to occur in our life that will prevent us from doing the things that we are planning on doing. We always have good intentions, but for whatever reason, we don't account for specific things, or maybe rather one-off things that we weren't expecting. And all of a sudden, it's like, hey, I don't have the time to do this now. The good news is I've batched, so I have 5 episodes in the queue, and so I'm good to go. And then maybe I'll let a couple weeks go by, and also I'll batch some more. So one of my goals this year is to maintain at least 4 episodes in advance. I want to make sure that I have 4 episodes in line in the queue, ready to air. And so that's something I'm actively working on. Literally today is a day for that.
Yeah, that's always good advice for like your pod. I'm getting into podcasting more and going all in on that this year alone too. That's always good advice to batch. It's almost like you're over planning, but like it's like you're getting ready for like going on vacation, but you don't want to get behind because of the
Yeah.
vacation.
Yeah.
And so you'll over plan. This way you're just about maybe caught up, or maybe still like a week ahead when you get back, or we're just coming out of like a week New Year's, Christmas break, holiday break,
Yeah.
and you want to like plan for all that. So you schedule things, you batch things, and it's always good advice to do that, to plan ahead. Over planning, I say over planning, but it's more planning ahead.
Yeah, yeah, good point. I mean, the good news, like what we're doing is just giving ourselves a peace of mind, because if we don't plan ahead, and if we're not batching and we're going week to week, and then we try to go on vacation and we're still thinking, okay, I have to do this, I have to do this, we're not really able to be 100% on vacation, because mentally we're still working and we're still thinking and planning and scheduling. And so it's like, what, batch things, set boundaries, time block things, keep a calendar, stay on the calendar. And when you go on vacation, you can actually let go and have a good time. And that again is also easier said than done, especially for someone who is an entrepreneur, or someone who is formally leading people, managing people, running a business. That can be that's something that you're always thinking about. But the more batching, the more scheduling, time blocking, the easier it is, and the more peace of mind we have when we're on vacation, or when we're just enjoying family time.
Get into an area of growth here, because growth is important. That's how we move forward. Growth. And is there something, I know you mentioned Trello, and you want to like you maybe dive into that a little bit in the Trello and that platform as far as scheduling, but is there anything else that you've heard about that maybe you're learning now that you don't know too much of, but you say, oh, this could help me if I know this more? Is there anything else that you were looking into that you want to know more?
Yeah, I mean, on the spot or off the top of my head, I don't know that I can think of anything right now. But there's regularly something where I'm like, oh, like that sounds like it could help me. I need to look into that. And sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I say, hey, I like the system that I have. It works. This person is telling me, I can be more efficient, and I just haven't looked into it yet. But Yeah, Tommy, off the top of my head, I don't know that I can think of one thing in particular. I mean, I know there's different extensions you can have, get on your computer to help you with certain things. I'll give you an example. I use I don't have it with me, but I use a timer. Are you familiar with the Pomodoro technique?
Yes.
Okay, so the Pomodoro technique, I use an actual timer. I don't use my phone as my timer. I don't even use there's a Pomodoro extension that I can use, but I actually want to get away from technology and devices when I implement a Pomodoro technique. And so I have just a simple little, it's like a kitchen timer. Because when I'm doing when I'm time blocking and batching things, if I'm setting my timer for 25 minutes and then I'm going to give myself a 5 minute break and then repeat the process a few more times. That's the Pomodoro technique. But when I started doing this, I would I would work for 25 minutes uninterrupted, no distractions, and then when I take my 5 minute break, I would spend my break catching up with notifications that I got on my phone or replying to emails. And what I'm doing is I'm not really giving myself a mental break. And the 5 minute break is a break for everything. It's a break from your work. It's a break from the physical side of things, from the mental side of things. So what I started doing was getting the kitchen timer, 25 minutes on, 5 minutes off, and my break, I'm still keeping my phone away from me. And so that's, I think I'm going in the opposite direction of what you're asking. But I think what I'm sharing is I know there are things out there. I've looked into a few of them. There's way more that I haven't looked into, but I'm also always open to ideas and advice because I know there is something out there that I could benefit from, but I don't know about it, so I haven't captured it yet. And so, yeah, if anyone is listening and they have some advice, and Tommy, that of course that goes for you, man. I'm open to it. I'm all ears.
So, and you meant taking breaks, and to go back to your question that you asked me, I like being asked on my own show too. I like answering questions, and going back to when you asked me, I love, like, you want to know what I want to do or what I do to, as far as taking breaks. And there's a couple things that off the top of my mind that I can list that I do right now. One of them is at least a day. I did 2 days over Christmas. I actually left the phone turned off like the night before on on the 23rd of December. Turned it off, and I use other devices around when I'm home, when I'm at my actual physical home space. I use the internet there. But when I turn the phone off, it stays here, and I am out in the world. I had like an iPad that when I'm actually out, I'm not connected to the internet, and then when I get to somewhere, then obviously will have it there on iPad. But I go without the phone. It forces you to just be present, to like, if you need to like find where you need to go, you need to like stop at like a gas station or something and ask a person. So I do that typically 1 day a week, and then for the holiday I did actually 2 days in a row. And then there's a plugin I use. It's called Newsfeed Eradicator. I don't know if you've heard of that.
I haven't.
A plugin I got from like for like Google Chrome. And when I'm on these Facebook, it eliminates me from just going in and just starting the scroll. And I'm on social media intentionally. I'm going to what I actually want to see instead of the news feed that shows me what they think, what, or these days what they what they to get the data from me, what they know I want to see. News feed, it takes the news feed out of the equation.
That's
and
good.
and I'm not, I don't have, now you can turn it on, you can set an hour, hey, show it to me for a day, show it to me for an hour, 5 minutes, 15 minutes. You can always turn it on, but it'll turn off, and then the news feed will just go away. So it takes off the not addiction, but like uh, it takes that thing that wants to get you on there. I don't even see the news feed, so I don't start to scroll where I can get addicted to it.
Yeah, that's good. I'm going to check that out. I think it helps um, to um, to be able to. I like that you said like you use social media intentionally, and this is where what I've learned over the years is how um, it's so easy to fall into this. Like you get on social media to be intentional, to make your post, to do what you need to do. You're a consumer. Sorry, you're a provider, but slowly you kind of become a consumer while you stay on your phone, and you're just seeing, you're going through the news feed, you're seeing other things, and it's like, man, that's 10 or 15 minutes I could have gotten back if I just made my post, put my phone away, got back to work, was productive instead of busy. And so I'm going to check that out. I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, and I want to get to a few final questions here. I know it respect your time here and get into some wrap up. And I want to like give you an opportunity to point out where your book's available to, and where can people find you to learn more about that,
Thank
how to
you.
get that. But a fun question I actually like to ask people. It's going digging that in the past into a younger version of yourself. What is something 10, 20 years ago that wasn't around then that is now that really would have supported you?
Um,
That you
immediately, what I'm thinking is I wish I would have hired a coach long ago. You know, I am a coach, but I still have my own coach. I think it's important that that I am also actively investing in myself and working on myself. And so I have my own counselor. I have my own coach. I'm also married to a licensed professional counselor, so I jokingly say that I get free counseling even when I don't want it, which is probably too often. But I wish I would have hired a coach years ago. I think every person needs to have a coach, a mentor, someone who they're willing to allow to speak truth into their life.
Yeah, it's all important to not just the one time at to coaching, have consistent coaching to keep coming, because you'll go into seasons, you'll go into different things, and it's always good to have that coaching that's there. Like maybe one. How often would you say? Once a year? Like how often?
Well, I work with my counselor once a month. I work with my coach twice a month, and of course, I'm with my wife every day. But I to me, like I will always have a coach. Like I'm never not going to have a coach. The cadence right now, I've been working with my coach for a couple years now, and the cadence has been every other Friday. And I don't know that I'm going to change that anytime soon. It's a healthy cadence for me, but I'm always going to have a coach.
Yeah, acknowledge you for that, for recognizing that it's good to have a coach. And get to book before I get into good last three questions I have. Where is your book available? How can find it, and how can they get in contact with you to ask you about it and ask you if they're interested in what you're doing?
Yeah, well, first, Tommy, thanks for the opportunity, man. So this is the book. It's called Leading a Legacy. So how to live today to make an impact for tomorrow. It's all about what are we doing today to make an impact for tomorrow. The legacy that we're leading today determines the legacy that we're leaving tomorrow. And so, what are we doing today to make an impact? So you can find my book on my website, which is www.limitlessleadership.co. Not the com, it's the co. So limitlessleadership.co. And and on my website, you can also be directed to all my social media. I'm the bearded leader on most social media platforms, so I'm pretty easy to remember. The bearded leader. So Instagram, you can look up my name on Facebook, Josh Parnell. YouTube is the bearded leader. And then even TikTok is it's just the bearded leader, the number one on there. So you can find my book on the website. It also is officially releasing on Amazon on January 30th. So the official launch will be on January 30th. But until then, you can order from my website. And when you do order from my website, you get a signed copy, and you also get a free ebook version delivered straight to your inbox the moment you purchase it. And so that's where you can find all of my information. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share that.
Right on. Thanks, and look out for that. I just as far as this will probably be published right on or right after that date. So
Okay,
perfect.
cool.
Some bonus questions here. I actually wasn't following my script. I usually do too much. I'm going for more free flowing conversations here
Cool.
without a script and what the pre-programmed questions that I have planned. But some the bonus questions I do like to end on, and the first one is truths. The three undeniable truths that you know about, like would your experience with digital world, technology world, what are three truths that you know to be true?
Oh, regarding the digital world, three truths I know to be true. Um, Number one, it is always evolving, which is the same way that we are as well. We are always evolving. Technology is always evolving. Number two, I saw a quote on the internet the other day from Abraham Lincoln. He said, "Don't believe everything you see on the internet because it's not always true." So, and that was from Abraham Lincoln. So that is, I'm going to take that as a truth. Not everything you see on the internet is true. And number three, I'm going to make a bold prediction based on based on limited context and knowledge, but artificial intelligence is going to change our world significantly. That's that's not a truth. That's just a maybe a prediction. So I gave you two truths and a prediction. I just cheated a little bit in the game. So sorry about that.
And about the I had something to say, but you mentioned like how it's evolving, technology is evolving, and definitely fast, and AI is definitely going to speed up that process a lot too, with AI taking off the way it is. So
Hmm.
evolving, and it's going even faster now.
Hmm.
And next question is kind of a follow up to that. Knowing your two truths and a prediction, what are the lessons that you maybe have for someone else, that you lessons or advice to about what you know about technology?
Live out of your comfort zone. Don't get complacent. Don't get comfortable, because the moment we get comfortable, something changes and we're behind. Um, you know, yesterday is great, will be tomorrow's good. And so it's okay to be content, but not comfortable. And when I say content, I'm saying it's okay to be happy with where you're at, knowing that you're not done, knowing that you're always growing and always evolving, but live outside your comfort zone. Get comfortable being uncomfortable.
Get comfortable. I like the term "do it scared,"
Yep.
and if it scares you, then it's a good thing for the most
Mm,
part.
yeah.
Is there anything else that I may have missed? We have still have little, like, a minute or two. Anything else that I missed that you wanted to like touch on?
I think just to piggyback on what you just mentioned about doing it scared, because we I know we opened this session with a little bit of a discussion on that. Um, I think the final advice or suggestion is this: just be mindful of the fact that we can still do things scared, but operate in faith. And the similarity between faith and fear is that they both believe in a future that hasn't happened yet. So why not choose faith? It's okay to choose faith, but still be scared in the process, knowing that faith is going to trump that fear ultimately. So that's my last piece of unsolicited advice.
I love it when guests come on and they throw out like a quotable material like that. That's a nice little quote there that I'll I'll share. Talking about going on social media, that I'll share that when I'm in promotion mode for this episode.
Thank
Well,
you.
my first guest, I just want to mention real fast, my first guest who had a great quote that I still use today. Jordan Brady, a commercial film director, was first when I started talking about more in the film world type stuff, and now it's got kind of both. I kind of like talk about that and tech stuff, and he in his three truths, he came with he said to stand on the shoulders of the giants who came before you.
That's good.
So when we're talking about like I was, if you listen to our like mutual mentor, internet mentor, Lewis Howes, where we met at Summer Greatness, who he hosts that event. The three truths. I took. I didn't steal. Paying homage. He said
Yeah,
paying homage. So
yeah.
you're not stealing. You're paying homage, and I got that from Jordan Brady.
Love that. As soon as you asked those questions, I recognized that from Lewis's podcast.
Fired, paying homage. Yeah.
Yeah, very good.
And then final question for you before I let you go, and back to your yeah. What is your definition of innovation?
Innovation is allowing your mind to ignore the previous limitations that you've adopted over the years to reach limitless potential.
Right on, love it. Thanks for coming on, talking, and then just embracing my tech talk here. Acknowledge you for all that, and I hope to see you do things in your coaching business and talk again. Have come back on. Let's see what's going on in the future too.
I would love that.
Thanks for this conversation. It was fun conversation.
Awesome. Thanks, Tommy. Appreciate you, man.
We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. It's always a blast exploring the tech universe with you. But alas, it's time to wrap things up. If you've got burning tech questions or just want to say hello, remember you can reach out to us on our website, social media, or drop us an email. We love hearing from you. And if you found this episode as electrifying as we did, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback helps us keep the tech goodness flowing. Don't forget to share Tech Time with Sweet Tea with your fellow techies. The more, the merrier, right? As we sign off today, always remember that tech is a tool and it's here to serve you. So use it wisely, explore fearlessly, and keep it real in your tech adventures. Stay curious, stay connected, and keep rocking the digital world. Catch you on the next episode of Tech Time with Sweet Tea.